Hello and welcome back to Badger Outdoors. Well, the shit has hit the fan. Everything has happened at once. I'm about 30 miles away from home. It's all gone wrong out there. There is massive civil unrest and a civil uprising because of the government's online safety bill and totalitarian uprising going on. There's a solar flare which has created an EMP which has knocked out all the electrics. There's massive storms. The roads are all blocked up and there's debris everywhere, and the zombies have all come up from the dead as well. So my goal is to grab my Get Your Home bag and get out of here and go and have a little wild camp on the way. So that's what I'm going to do. You're welcome to join me. Right, before I get out, I'll just start in the front of the car. So in the front of the car, I always keep, and I'll pull it out, a trauma kit. So in here is a couple of tourniquets, it's really bandages, clotting gauze and all that sort of stuff. That lives in the center of the car because if I'm ever trapped in the car, you know, you go off the road or something like that, you're trapped in the car, you're bleeding out, you know, I've got that available to me, and that's at hand in between, so I can deal with the passenger if they're bleeding or if I'm bleeding. And if there's an accident nearby, I can just grab it straight out and I don't have to hunt around in the car and go straight and help someone. What I also keep at hand, I've got 30,000 milliamp hour down here in the armrest, battery bank to keep my phone charged because that keeps my comms running. I also carry an EDC type torch. This is my Fenix E35R that lives in there. It's got a magnetic back end, so I can take it out and stick it onto the car. I can stick it onto the car roof, put it in a strobe mode, anything like that. And then I carry some calories in here, just some sweets really, and then some water. I always keep some water down there, so that's what I keep in the front of the car, and a few coats and things in the back, but the rest of the gear is in the back. We'll have a quick look. Right, I thought what I'd do is just talk through the gear that I carry around the back of the car, and you can see there's a lot of gear in here, and yeah, that's going to cost me a couple of pounds a month, I suppose, in extra fuel costs, but you know, that's a slight overhead, I think, for having kit that I need, and it is a pain sometimes when you're trying to go somewhere with the family because you sometimes have to move some of this out. But anyway, I'll carry sort of three main things in the back of the car. The first is to look after the car, so tow rope. What else have we got? We've got tow rope, I've got jump leads, I've got an emergency puncture repair, all that sort of stuff, so that's in there. And I've got another first aid kit back there. Another little torch, which brings me on to the second sort of stuff that I keep in the back of the car, is car camping stuff, and it's so that I can either, you know, if I'm just out driving and I think, you know, I'm just going to camp the night, I can do that without any issue. And if there's any sort of problem with the car or the shit does hit the fan, then with the family, back in here I've got all sorts of gear. Back down there I've got an old tarp, I've got food, I've got some wood, I've got a Kelly kettle over there, I've got a big sleeping bag there, with a sleeping bag down here, I've got a big queen size woolen blanket in here, so I've got a whole ton of water down there. And I've got ways to cook things. I've got a gas stove, one of those portable gas stoves, obviously the Kelly kettle as well. So, you know, I've pretty much got everything I need to look after the family, to keep them warm, most importantly, hydrated, with some food. I can get a fire going if I need to. I can get a hot drink going. You know, all sort of obvious things, I think. But also, and this is all sort of that side of the car, so I'll just chuck that there. And then over on this side of the car, is my sort of Get Your Home kit. And that's where I'm going to focus really. So just move the woolen blanket over. So I've got my rucksack, which is down there, which I'll show you later on. But I also have a second rucksack. It's a bigger one, 66 litres. The one that's down there is 45 litres. It's more sort of a summery one. This is a 66 litres, so if I decide it's the winter, the weather's worse, I need to take more gear, then I might decant it all into here. Or if I'm with the family, my wife will take that 45 litre, I'll put a load of extra gear into here, and then I'll take this one. But it's going to just take me a little bit of time to sort it. I don't change, you know, what you could say is in the autumn, why don't you convert everything to a winter kit, and then in the spring convert it back to a summer kit. I don't. It all stays as a summer kit because ultimately I want lightweight. If it's to get you home, I just want to move quickly, but talk all about that later on. Moving quickly is going to be the priority, but an extra rucksack anyway to help me out if I need that. Rope, I shouldn't need that. And then down here I've got a big winter sleeping bag. If I need to take that, that gets me down to, so the kit that I've got, the summer kit, gets me down to about +10 comfortably, +5 degrees centigrade, okay. And then I've got a winter sleeping bag here, gets me down to about -3, -4. And then also back here, and this is all kit, so I'll grab my summer kit and then I'll just look at this kit and decide, is there anything else I'm going to take. I may take my torch up front as well, but anyway, so there's this box here. So I've got an underquilt, an extra warm DD under blanket in case my kit isn't good enough. I've got a little bit of camouflage in case I go onto the ground. This is very good in the winter because it's very much like leaf litter, so that I maybe want to take. I've got spare bags, dry bags. I've got a 15 litre one and a 20 litre one with a strap. So any gear that I think, you know what, I'm just going to grab that as well. I can just chuck it into this dry bag and we're off. I've got an escape bivvy which I may want to use. What else? I've got a 3x3, good old 3x3 in there. If I'm with the family, I can make a top tent shelter for them. I've got a little bum bag, but in this bum bag is everything I would need as a last ditch emergency survival, light a fire, mylar blanket, all that sort of stuff. So I might just stick that around my waist. And then down there, what I've also got is a great bit of kit. So this is a Dutch Army bivvy. If the shit is hitting the fan and it's quite a hostile environment out there, and I want to keep my head down in the woodlands on the side of a field, I want a low profile kit. This will absolutely survive through the winter. It's nice and big, get all my gear in it. It's very waterproof, windproof, low profile, camouflage, everything else. But it's 1.6 kilograms, so not necessarily the best option. Anyway, so I've got some extra little bits of gear in there as well. A survival blanket thing. And I've also got a tent over this side, a one-man, very cheap Yellowstone Matterhorn 1. It cost me about £25 years ago. My son's used it loads, and that just lives over there as well. And then I've got some comfortable walking shoes as well. Let's just sort that. Comfortable walking boots down here, but they're old walking boots that the heels, the soles were coming off, but I've just super glued them back together. But they're absolutely fine, and my wife's got a pair in there as well. And then here I've got this bag here. I don't think I'm going to get this out really, so I want to get going. But I've basically got a big green bag, and in here I've got military waterproofs, top and bottom. Not ideal. I'd rather have some civilian kit, so it blends in a little bit better. But like I say, this is kit that I'm just pulling together at the last minute, just to be able to, so I'm not having to spend extra money. I've also in there got a thermal padded down trousers, down top, spare underpants, warm socks, woolen hat, big thick gloves, which I think are particularly important, having thick gloves and some good protection on your top, because you may need to push your way through for hedges and things like that. I've then also got another bag in there, which I can just grab some extra stuff, which is more winter sort of stuff, which is some fingerless gloves. I've also got a solar power panel, a solar panel, fold out one, 28 watt. I've got some extra food. I've got hand warmers, chemical hand warmers. I've got a thermal tarp with a reflective inside and camouflage on the outside, if I want to sleep on the ground and get some reflection back in, get myself some heat. So that there, and I can just grab that and go with me and sort my kit out later on, or I can just sort kit out here and just go through it and make sure I've got everything I need. Right, now I can go. Anyway, that all goes in the car. So first thing I do is grab my rucksack out, then I go through all this gear and just choose what I'm gonna take with me, and then off we go. So yeah, let's go. Right, we're off. Rucksack ready to go. I'll run through the rucksack later on. I do have another bag here, Helicon Tech's sort of satchel, I think it is, which I got fairly recently. That's just got some beers, a little bit of food, meat fest, and some camera gear. It's going to be, temperature going to go down to about +9 tonight. I think my kit, which I'll show you later, is good down to +10. There's a hammock option in there that I do carry, and there's a bit of a ground dwelling option. Friday afternoon, a few beers. Great thing is I haven't had to pack any of this. I just grab it out of the back and off I go. It's quite handy, and having all that gear in the back of the car is really handy, because quite often I've gone out while camping, I've forgotten my underquilt, forgotten a sleeping bag. Doesn't matter, it's in the car, or I've got some gear in the car to cover me. So I found it really useful, and a few times I've been driving up to my dad's or wherever, and I think, you know what, I'll just do a little wild camp on the way, and I've always got wild camping gear in there. So it's actually really helpful. And just because you're storing it in the car doesn't mean you can't use it routinely. But what's the point in storing all your old gear deep in the back of your garage? You know, I like the idea that that gear is in there, because that car is always near me, whether I'm at work or out wild camping or wherever I am, even with a family. I know that I've got stuff that I can rely on, and doesn't matter what's going on, you know, I'm going to be all right with it. It's a bit like a comfy blanket. This is a rucksack I've used many times in my 20s. I think it's my 20s, late 20s. I think I bought this. A lot of times walking with it, so I'm very familiar with it. It's not massive, but 45 litres is just about right for me. I think it's a summer setup, which you'll see. And yeah, you could say, well, in the winter you need to switch to a winter setup and you know, maybe go for the bigger bag, but the idea is to be lightweight. I just want to get home, and even if I have to, you know, if I'm 20 miles away from home, I'm not going to stop and sleep, and it's not a camping trip. I just want to get home. So yeah, and you need to make it relevant to where you are as well. It's not too military, it's blue, you know, it doesn't stand out too much, but it's pretty big. But I'm in a rural area, so I'm not in the wilderness, but I'm not in an urban area. Urban, I'd have different kit, I'd have a smaller bag, I'd be much less conspicuous. So I had a quick look at all the different places around me that I regularly go to, and they're all about 30 miles, which is about 12 hours walking at 2.5 miles an hour. But the reality is that because everything's going on and the debris, and you want to avoid places, and you may only do 10 miles a day. So for me, that's 30 miles away, 10 miles a day, 3 days. If it's just 20 miles, I'm probably not going to sleep overnight. I'm probably going to push on through, but the second night you might need to sleep. You may need to keep your head down at night, because walking around in a rural area with a torch, you're going to stand out. So you may not want to do that, and therefore you may decide, you know what, I'm just going to go to ground at night, and then first thing in the morning I'll be up again and get going. So yeah, there's lots to think about, and so my kit is kind of based around that, and depends where you live is what your kit's going to look like. And hopefully I've got the right sort of kit. You know, it's all the cheaper end kit, and it's all old kit, but it's kit that I know, other than a couple of bits I'll show you which you've maybe seen before. Right, we're in this section now. So back there's the main track. So I've come off that. There's no sign to say I can't come down here, but it's not a public right of way. So down there, I've explored down there before, and it goes into, you keep on going, and it looks like it's pheasant farming, and there are loads of pheasant feeders, and I don't go where, you know, if it's someone's business, I just avoid that. It's not worth the hassle. Plus I don't want to piss them off. Right, this will do, and I've been here before. There's a little bit of wood left over from last time I had a fire, but everything is soaking wet, so I'm not really that hopeful. There's quite a lot of dead standing stuff, so I'm just hoping that that will do it. Straight away over there I can see a little fir that's dead, so I'll probably take that down. But I've been here before, so I'm reasonably comfortable with the location. I've scouted it before, but it's so quiet and just no one comes here. I don't think anyone saw me coming in, so I'm not really that fussed. Right, well, that's the rucksack that I've got. It's Vango Traverser 45. It's really old. I bought it in my 20s. I did a lot of hiking with it. The biggest problem I've noticed with it immediately I've come in here is that it's blue. It's not camo. Now I want something that doesn't look too, it doesn't make you stand out and people don't look at you think, okay, you look like you're a bit of a prepper and you must have some gear, we're going to cause you some trouble. Because after all, this is, the world could be going to rats, and I've got to walk around with this thing. But what I think I might need is some sort of camouflage cover, and it does have a waterproof cover, doesn't it? I'll have a look at the waterproof cover. Yeah, it's bright orange. I'm not sure that's gonna do the job. But, it may be that you're in a situation where you want rescuing, and actually that bright orange will be quite good. So I think what I'm going to do is get a waterproof cover of some sort that just camos it up, so when I am in my little base camp or wherever, that I can just chuck that over the top and not have to worry about this going to give you away. In total, 45 litres is good for this. It's good for a summer and camping, and bearing in mind I've got the ability to sleep on the ground here with a hammock. Tonight I think I'm going to do a hammock because it's just wet on the ground. The whole thing weighs 10.5 kilograms. Basically, in terms of weight of carrying gear, what I've learned is that up to 5% of your body weight, you lose nothing by carrying that. Your body can adapt and move at the same pace and not burn up really any significant extra energy. You want to keep it if you're going to have a bug out bag or a bug out, no, not a bug out bag. Get your home bag. You want to keeping it lightweight. Remember, speed is important. Your ability to move big distances is important. So keep it light. 10% of your body weight is what I've seen other people saying. That really is where you should pitch it. This is 10.5 kilograms with the water, with the food, with everything. So it is over 10%. But I want to be getting through that water. It's right for my environment, I think. And bearing in mind that it's all old wild camping gear, I'm not really that fussed. So I'm happy with this. This is a bit shiny. So this is new, and there's a Swagman roll in here which I've got, which is new specifically for this kit. There's also a Helicontex poncho, which matches into the Swagman, which is new, and this is new. I want to blacken this up a little bit, get it on the fire, because it really does stand out. It's a little bit too shiny, and I'm not sure I want shiny things on my bag. What I may do is put it in a black bag or something like that, another little pouch or something, just to dull it down a little bit. But yeah, not ideal, but I'll get some sort of camo, I think. Right, we're starting to get it going. I probably should have put the tarp up first because the rain is starting to come down, but it's no problemo, because the next item that's going to go with a sleeping bag, for no other reason than it's a backup, is a bivvy. Now this is a Mountain Warehouse bivvy. It's in my bivvy video, I think. It is just a cinches up over the hood area. It's reasonably big for a bivvy. You can't get too much in it. If I needed to, I do have a blow-up mat in there, which I will show you in a second. That would fit in here, and that sleeping bag, okay. Maybe the Swagman roll as well. If I was going to need some extra warmth, this would maybe do it. But what I like about bivvies is they add, I don't know how much they add. It depends on the bivvy really, but if you've got a good Gore-Tex one, I think you're adding about 5 degrees. I think that's quite reasonable. This may be less, but this gives me a little bit of extra waterproof. If my poncho doesn't stretch and I get a little bit of rain through, which I'm starting to get, this gives me a little bit more protection, but it holds heat in, and so that's quite important for me. And if I'm on the ground, if you're on the ground, you want to have something to sleep on, so I do have a blow-up mat in there, something to sleep in, which would be the sleeping bag, and this, and so simply sleep under, which would be my poncho. Right, the poncho for tonight is the Helicontex. It's a camo. I can't remember the dimensions of it. It's set up at the moment for as a poncho. I do have some pegs and a bit of cordage, etc. I sort of, when I get my gear, I kind of pre-set it all up. So it's set up as a poncho at the moment, but we'll just open that up and just get it into a tarp setup. That's the camo that I've gone for. There's the hood. I think whenever you do these hoods up, and I'm no expert at ponchos, but you do it up, you twist the top on the outside of the poncho, you then fold it over itself, and then use the bit of cordage you've got just to tie that off, and that should be fine. Right, I'll show you the setup in a sec. It ain't great. I need to do a little bit of work. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit of work on it first, and I'll show you. Right, my head's going to be there, so I guess the mat is in there between the hammock and the swagman. Swagman's got these bits of elastic on here. They will help hold the swagman sort of tight around the top, around the bottom. That will hold the blow up pad in there. Let's see what that's like. Right, what I've done is bin the ridge line. Basically, the tarp was too high. The tarp was up here. And when you don't have much space, you want to get the tarp as low down to your hammock as possible to stop any rain, to protect your hammock as much as you can. So I've got rid of that, and I've used the bungee cords, which are these amazing bungee cords with the balls on the end, and I just looped it through there, through onto the carabiner, and that's now holding that really tight down, pretty good. And it's done the same over there, and it's nice and tight. Right, I'm fairly happy with that. My only worry is I don't quite have enough coverage here. A little bit exposed, but I'm going to have my head out there just so that I know when that rain is coming. But I think what I've learned from all of this is that the best option is a ground option, because the reality is this is not for comfort, this is not for camping, this is, I'm walking, I just need to get some rest. I think what I need to do is have the bivvy with the blow up mat deflated inside that, with the sleeping bag all rolled up. The swagman I've got an option with. I've then got that plastic bit of sheeting. I roll that bit of sheeting out. I then put the bivvy down with all that stuff in there. If I can, I get the swagman roll in there as well. If you are going to combine two bits of insulation, what you don't want to do is compress one of them, because you're losing all the value of it. So I've got to have a maybe look at that next time I maybe do go down and sleep on the ground. So this is a nice setup if it's plus 10 degrees and I've got a little bit of time and it's in a woodland, but if not, I would switch to the other option. Right, I'm gonna get some wood now and get a fire going and just relax a little bit and have a few beers. A great thing about having moss on the woods, in the woods, is that it shows you that this is good clean air, good fresh clean air. Yeah, the moss, if it was all polluted and everything, you wouldn't find this, but this is just a healthy environment to be in. I am talking absolute waffle. I don't know why I'm talking about any of this, but I think it's something to do with a double IPA. So the tree that just fell down just now, I'm going to go and deal with that, and I really do need to get a fire going. Right, I think this is it's the one that came down. I say tree fell down. It is quite big, but it's not really a tree, is it? But it's dead standing. It's come down, so I think I'm going to take this. There's loads of dead standing here. I mean, friggin' loads. That setup I've got there is really camouflaged. I'm actually really quite impressed with it. What I now need is a similar camouflage for my rucksack that goes all the way around, and I can put under there. It's almost like just wrap my rucksack up in. It just folds all over so that it keeps everything dry. But that's a good camouflage setup. Anyway, stop gassing. See how this this saw is. It looks flimsy as hell. Let's just see. Good dry wood. I'll just use the knife and strip off the wet moss just to help it with the fire, but this is no silky. It feels really sharp, but silky would have gone through that so much better. But it doesn't matter. So I've got 2 good pieces of wood here. That'll do my fire. Okay. It's definitely dusk now. What's the time? Yeah, it'll be pitch black in 15 minutes. Let's get my head torch up and ready. This little spotlight. Have we got any light? Come on, dude. Not a lot. We'll be okay for now. Right. I'm going to use some of this. There's a lot of wet stuff, and due to double IPA, this is probably not going to work. But I need my food, so I've got plenty of this cotton wool at home. Let's just get a load of it out here. That is going to go for friggin' ages. We're getting desperate, so that can go there. We can use the lighter, the shitty old rusty one. I'm not sure if this is going to light. I'm not sure if any of this is going to work, but let's just get it going. There we go. What I should have done is get another log. That one there. Put that there. And then all this crap. Man, is that even going to work? I don't know. I'm not sure this is going to work. But that log there will help lift it up and get a little bit of air in. But it's very wet. Everything is really wet. So we'll see if this goes. If not, you will never see this video because I will be editing it and starting again. Alright, I've got some wood ready. I haven't got a lot of wood. We'll see how this goes. I'm not convinced. Fire has failed. Wood is too wet. So the only way around that problem is to split some wood. My worry with splitting wood is always just noise, but the farm is far enough away and I've heard nothing, seen no lights. If someone came up here with lights, I think I'd see them in the vehicle well before. So that's a snag. I've just been too lazy. Taking wet stuff and a little bit of wet stuff and yeah, be right. Right, I need something for my food. So I've got no grill or grate or anything like that, and all I've got is meat. So we're simulating. I don't need to practice eating food out of a bag, but I probably do. If you did catch something, if you're in the position that you had the time to catch stuff. Let's just say I caught a feral pig and I've got a nice little fillet off it. Although I wouldn't catch a feral pig because it's just wasted meat. You're after small game, pigeon, rabbit with a snare. Maybe I need a couple of snares. No, forget your home bag, you don't need a couple of snares. A bug out bag maybe, some snare wire for rabbits, but which I'm more than happy with. But this, I think will do the job. If I can make this fairly thin, there's a spike that I can put through the food. That's going to be my meat, so I've got a pork fillet, which is going to roll onto there and cook that over this, but I'm not sure I've got enough wood, so I might have to go and get some more wood. I have no idea if this is going to work. Alright, is that good enough to cook? Yeah, maybe. That seems to work. So the stick is, I'll be honest, it's not ideal, but it's doing the business. It is cooking. It's just cooking slowly, and that's fine. But the stick was slowly going down, so that seems to have done the business. Putting another little stick in there. Simple system, I guess. Just cook it slow. Yeah, that's good. But it tastes good, so I think it'll be okay. Awesome. Hello, and we are set ready for going to sleep. It's not ideal, I've got to be honest. I've got into the hammock and it's all sagged, and therefore that is saggy, not taut. If it rains, that's going to pull. It's not good, but I'm comfy, I'm cozy, I'm warm, so I'll see you in the morning. Cheers. Okay, so that was a pretty good night. The temperature went down to +8 degrees centigrade, and it's been actually quite warm. The mat under here I think has worked really well, because I have slept with just the swagman, and that was down at +7 degrees, and that was freezing cold, and I was cold before then, and I think this is only really good down to maybe +10, +12 in that region. But with the mat under here, toasty warm, no problem. I would be quite happy going down to +6, I think, +5, +6, somewhere like that. On top, sleeping bag, inside the bivvy bag, great, nice and warm, you know, nothing really to say. My biggest worry is this poncho is just too high up. I'm going to have a fiddle with it now, but I need to basically rest it on this ridge line, and because I'm going to get wet. As it is at the moment, I would get wet. So I'm just going to have a little play with it now, just to see how I can just tweak that with the elastic, so that it's as tight down as possible. But overall, yeah, I'm quite happy. And I'm just going to pack the whole lot up and just see how quickly I can get it all wrapped up and into that rucksack, to see how quickly I could get going. Right, let's go. I've got a sore throat. I think I've been snoring last night. I don't know, but I feel shit. 4 beers, I feel shit. I shouldn't feel that this bad. Okay, let's go. Right, that works quite nicely. I've got this right down as tight as I can. So this is the best I can get, but I reckon light rain, I'm absolutely fine. And I reckon that if I drop these down, the sides down, I would actually be fairly well placed. So I'm quite happy with that now. I've worked out how I'm going to rig all of this. It all seems to fit quite nice. Yeah, it's a good little stealthy setup. Now I'm going to put it away and see how quickly I can do this. Wow, what a beautiful morning. And it's just, everything is green, the moss on the, just green everywhere. It's just beautiful in here, absolutely enchanting little place. Anyway, I'm all packed up. That pack up did not go well. I was hoping I could just chuck everything in, but of course I had to deflate the mat. And then I don't want to pack my poncho in there because that could be wet, plus I might need it for rain. So I need to come up with a better way to pack everything in. It didn't even all fit in because I've got my sleeping bag and my bivvy in my camera bag. So yeah, I've got to come up with a better system than that. So I'm gonna get home and do all that. Anyway, we're all tidied away. Fire's nicely tidied up because I'm going to use it again. So I want to keep my area tidy. I've got my rubbish back there, got my straps. So I hope you enjoy the video. I'm off to go and get a bacon butty now and a coffee. It's just, if you've got some old gear, personally, I think it's a good idea to have a bag in the car that's just got some real basics. You don't have to go overboard. You know, I've gone overboard on the back of my car, but just got some basics so you can stay in the car and keep warm with some water, and also have a bag so you can just get it on and go, and you've got all the stuff you need, some waterproofs, all that, whatever you think you need, you've got the ability to walk out of wherever you are. So I enjoyed the video. I will see you next time. Cheerio. Right, well, this is Badger in the future. What I thought I'd do is, because subsequently I've got back and thought, you know what, this was wrong, that was wrong, and so I've made a few changes to the bag. And in order to also speed up the process a little bit and make it a little bit more so you can see things a little bit closer, etc., I thought I would go through the kit that's in the Get Your Home bag. So I'll start off. This is the bag that you see in the video. I've actually, a week later now, sold this for 30 quid to a mate who wanted a rucksack, so sold that for 30 quid, and I bought another bag for 40 quid. This is a Solanac 50 litre. It's a very basic bag. It's very basic material, and while it's green, you know, ideally I think I would have something that is very neutral colours, but you know, I'm almost certainly moving around in a rural area, so I thought actually the green was better, because in the video that blue really does stand out in the woods, and it's just really obvious. And blue really does stand out in the woods, I find anyway, and deer notice blue as well. Strangely, blue and yellow I think are colours that really stand out with deer. Anyway, so I have gone for a green. So if I'm in a urban area, then I might stand out a little bit, but my plan would always be to avoid those if possible, because I'm generally not that close to them. So I'm just going to go through what's in this bag then, and let's just pull it up. So like I say, it's 50 litres, which I think is a little bit over the top. I think ideally I'd be looking at 40 litres, but this does give me a little bit of space in the top as well, so there's a little bit of space there to chuck something else in there if I really need to. So I'll go through this to start with. On the side I've got two pockets. This pocket here is the Helicon Tech poncho, which you'll see in the video. and some stakes in there. I think there's this, yeah, the stakes are in there as well, and a little bit of cordage. So that sits on there, and I keep that on the outside so that I can get access to that fairly quickly and get that on top if it's raining. And it's probably one of the first things that really I should be putting up, which I don't do in the video. I probably should have put that up first. And then on the other side, you'll see in the video, in my bag, I've got my water bottle, but that is all shiny. So now I've just got a green bag which it just goes in, just to dull it down a little bit, and you know, just to keep it all in, so it doesn't stand out too much. In the top pouch, I'll go through what's in the top pouch first, which is weirdly just a really small little hole. Absolute. The worst thing about this is it's got a big pocket on the top, but a really small hole. So in there, what I've also got is a waterproof, so a camo waterproof, a spare one that I had for another bag, which I don't need it now anymore. So you know, nice small cover for the rain. A little small first aid kit. I think if you were in a shit hit the fan sort of situation, now I could take my tourniquet kit, the trauma kit which I've got on the front of the car, or I could take my other medical kit. But if I'm just going home and I'm not too fussed about, if I think, you know, I'm probably not going to need those, then I'll just take this. And the main thing really is to stop getting infections. So if you get scratches or anything like that from going through hedges, that you get some. And for those Brits will know, I don't know if they use this in the States, but TCP. It's got an antiseptic. It's in a little squirter there. I've got some bandages, and it's really just to try and stop any infection. But I've got paracetamol, things like that in there, and I've also got some Pro Plus, because if I am wanting just to walk through the night, then Pro Plus is going to help me with a little caffeine intake. Toilets, some shit tickets in a plastic bag, so just in case it does start raining, they don't get soaked. This is the cover that the rucksack came with. Got quite a good deal on the rucksack, 40 quid, down from 50. Rucksack cover. Yeah, so if it was a survival situation and I want to be found, this might actually be good for signalling to put it out somewhere. So I'm going to keep that. I've then got some gloves. Now, gloves, if it's winter, I would have a look at my winter bag and take the big gloves out of there. But if it's winter and I'm only a day away and I think, you know what, the weather's not too bad, it might get a bit nippy at night, then this may be all that I need. And just in case, because it can be nothing worse than freezing fingers and you're trying to work and do things. So I'm going to still take some gloves. And plus, I think gloves are a good idea if you're having to push your way through hedges, things like that. You may ideally go down all the lanes, etc. But there may come times where you just got to cross over a field and you've just got to get through a hedge on the other side. So for my area, gloves are probably a good idea. Although personally, I think I'd rather leather. I might try to see if I change those to leather next time. But for now, I'm just going to keep them. And then a woolen hat. It doesn't matter what the weather is, particularly in a hammock. I find is that if the weather is a little bit nippy, then taking a woolen hat is actually a really smart idea. Right, anything else in the top bag? No? Okay, let's move down. Okay, this bag comes with some, on the hip strap, some pockets. And so, in fact, I'll get out what's in those pockets. Got one either side. So it's quite good for that, I quite like that. First off is a set of binos. They're not great magnification, they're relatively cheap little binos, but if you do have to move through an area and you just want to make sure it's safe to go through there, or you have to go past a building, you know, is anyone around there? Is there activity? Is there any signs of activity? I just think it's smart just to stop, work out what's going on, so you understand the terrain you're about to go into or the environment you're about to go into. So I think a set of binoculars are probably a good idea. These, I do have some much better monocular in my day bag up there, but you know, I use that routinely, and this is just a you know, seconds sort of kit. So I think that's quite a smart idea to have that. A little multi-tool, not particularly a flash multi-tool at all, but it's got the usual sort of pliers, knife, a little saw, screwdriver, Phillips, etc. So a pretty basic bit of kit, but I think anyone should really, a multi-tool is a pretty smart idea. A set of wire cutters, if I was in an urban area, I think the wire cutters would be a nice idea to have in there, but I'm not going to take those. I've then got a map. This is my close-in map. It's a material map. It's from a company called, I think it's Splash Mats. This is a 50 thou map of my local area. I'm basically in the middle there, and this is my just local area. Good thing about this is it's waterproof. I can use it for other things. I could use it to strain some water. In fact, I'm not sure if I would do that because it's waterproof. So, but you know, I'm sure I can come up with some other things for it. And then a compass. Now you can get the sort of mirror compasses, which are definitely more accurate. But this is a basic base plate compass, which in the environment that I live with, rolling hills where everything is relatively close in, where I've got the mapping that I can see, you know, it's easier. It's not like you're in the mountains or in a desert or anything like that. So this is absolutely fine. But also on my phone I have 50 thou and 25 thou mapping offline, importantly offline mapping, that I can get access to as well for that, and that's for the whole of the UK. So I've always got some good mapping in there, providing I've got power, of course. What I also have is a large 50 thou map. So I've got my little splash map for the very local area to me, but then I've got a much bigger 50 thou map. This is one I've actually taken from work, but it's out of date, so I can't use it. But it's basically a 50 thou aviation map, and it's got a Fablon, so it's waterproof over it, and we use that just so we can put pen on there, permanent pen, and then you can wipe it off with some white spirits. But yeah, this is a really big one that's bloody huge and covers all my local area, all around me, probably out to about 15 to 20 miles. So once I get into that sort of range from home, then and I've got some good mapping, and then I've got the better splash map, the more detailed, well, yeah, more usable splash map when I get really close in. Right, going to my other little waist pouch, and I've got a quick, very cheap torch. I think these things are $4.99. It doesn't matter, it's just there that if it suddenly got dark and I haven't got ahead of the game and got my head torch out ready, then at least I can get hold of that quickly. And then some glasses. Okay, and these glasses, they are clear safety glasses. They are protected all around, underneath and over the top, so you can't get twigs and branches in there. So if you're moving through woodland or hedges or things like that, particularly at night, you're not going to see what's coming, and you can cause yourself a real bad, nasty injury. This bit of elastic just so I can drop them down if I need to see a little bit better. But also, if it's a smoky environment or anything like that, you know, there's I don't know what for what reason there might be smoke grenades, who knows? Then it'll help try and keep out that smoke and maintain my vision. Okay, in the main compartment, I'll work my way top down. So really, the stuff that I probably don't need is right at the bottom, and stuff that I might need more often is more towards the top. So first off, electronics bag, waterproofed. Although I will have a bag cover. I'm going to keep all this waterproof. The first thing in there is a fast find, which is a satellite SOS beacon. Effectively goes straight up to a satellite. It's different to the Garmin InReach, which goes to a civilian company. This goes to military for search and rescue centre in the UK. I think that's in Kinloss and it's basically, there's no text facility or anything else. You don't have an annual subscription or anything like that. You simply lift the flap, press the button, and that's it. Yeah, I'm very familiar with these through work. Brilliant bit of kit. Yeah, a brilliant bit of kit. That stays in there. Batteries last for about 6 years. That one's only had a couple of years on it. Head torch, which is my old Black Diamond one. Used this a lot. You can see on the end there, I've taped up. That's the main light. This is the red. The red light is over here, which I've left. This one here is the main light, and I've taped that up with some black insulating tape, and there's a little hole in there. And during the video, or certainly at night, this really did cut down the light, so it was really nice and dim. You could just see what was in front of you with your hands. I wouldn't want to walk too far through the woods with this, but if that got to that, you just rip off the tape and you're away. Other things, a 10,000 milliamp hour charger with cables, 2 sets of cables, so one USB-C and the USB micro. A plug, because you never know, you might come across somewhere where you can charge some stuff up. My finger torch, which is an amazing bit of kit. I love this thing, but it keeps turning itself on in the bag. So, but I do have some spare batteries for this as well, just in case that happens. Yeah, love that. And some spare batteries somewhere. In fact, where are my spare batteries for that? I don't know. Some spare batteries for my head torch, 2 sets of spare batteries there. There we go, spare batteries for my finger torch, and that's it other than this. And this is a little pocket radio. It does digital radio, and it also does the old analog FM AM. Good to know, because if the shit has hit the fan, you just want to know what's going on around you. This is a rechargeable one. It doesn't hold its charge very well, but it's quite good. It gets a signal, and you know, if you need to sort of hunker down and just listen in and just see what is going on in the world, just so you're aware of what you're getting yourself into, then I think having something like this is quite a smart idea. I have something like that at home as well, a wind-up solar power analog one. Okay, so that's that bag. Into the next bag. So that's my electronics bag. This is my bits and bobs bag. Okay, so I've got a paper with a Sharpie pen in a waterproof cover, because you may need to leave a note for someone in your car to say where you've gone. You may want to make notes of something, I don't know why. Okay, a bag of straps and things. So in here are the bungees, which you'll see in the video, which basically a bit like a soft shackle. Great idea. I use them all around the house now. I've also in there got my ready quick deploy ridge line, which I'm never particularly quick at deploying, and then I've got some number 36 bank line in there as well, which is probably about 40 feet worth of bank line. A bit of plastic. I don't know why I got this, but I think it's actually quite a smart move, because this bit of plastic could act as a way to catch rain. It could act as a tarp if you really needed to. In each corner you could put a pebble, and then around that you put lark's head onto a bit of cordage and turn it into a tarp, or you could use it as a ground sheet for my ground sleep system. I don't know how big it is, and I'm not going to undo it because I'll never get it back to that size, but yeah, so a bit of plastic like that I think goes a long way. This is a vegetable from Sainsbury's, a vegetable bag. One of their vegetable bags. I think I had to pay £5 for £5 pence for it, or something 10 pence, something like that. But it's a great little bug net, as my son has used before. I used to store the sleeping bag in here, but yeah, you just stick this over your head, and it's great. It's just keeping those mozzies off. I do have a bug net in my drawer, which I take out if I think I need it, but you know, I want to have that available in the drawer. So this just stays, you know, so it's a good alternative. Hand warmers, I think they're just always a smart idea to have in any rucksack. I would just always have hand warmers. This one is a bit dodgy, maybe. You know, if the shit was hitting the fan and someone attacked you, you wrestled them to the ground. Yeah, tie their hands behind their back and stop them. You know, calm them down a little bit. But yeah, do that with extreme caution, because you're then responsible for that person and the fact that they can't probably move around. Right, going further down to the bag. Okay, in here is my fire water kind of bag. I'll just go through this. So at the top is my water bag. Undo that, you'll see that what I have is a platypus bag. These are not the greatest. A knock bag. They're the best. They're awesome, and they unzip at the bottom, so you can get loads of water in real quick. This is what I used to use before I had got the knock bag. But you have to fill the water at the top end here. But this would be for my dirty water, just to gather it, move off, and then do the water filtration down the line. And then in here I have the water filter I use in here. It's an MSR water filter. You put this end into the water and then you squeeze, it squeaks. Air doesn't work particularly well with air, but every 6 months I run this through with deionized water or sterilized water. Is it ionized or deionized? I don't know. Sterilized water, because if you don't, then you find that they can clog up real easy if you use normal tap water to clean them. All the minerals and things like that in the tap water just basically just clog up the pores, so all of a sudden it becomes useless. What I've also got in that bag with that are some tablets, and these tablets, one of these tablets, so I've got 10 tablets here. One of these tablets will do a litre of water, and my water bottle is 1 litre, so it works quite nicely. Then I've got a fire bag, just with some fire lighting gear in here, with the usual culprits, a couple of lighters in there, a ferro rod, some Gorilla Tape, a bit of twine. Twine's great for getting things going. Yeah, some of those. It's all sort of basic stuff. I think what I probably need in here is a more, well, how can I say it? I think the fuel tablets, some fuel tablets, I think would be a good addition to this, just so that you can light. If you want to heat up some water, boil some water, because it may be that you've got your water filtration with your pump. If you can pre-filter, then great. You then use that water filter, but that'll get rid of bacteria and protozoa, but it won't get rid of viruses, so you may need to boil your water. Now in the UK you should normally need to do that because we don't really suffer from viruses in the UK in our water supply. You'd certainly get that, I would imagine, in India, somewhere like that, where it's maybe a little bit more dubious, the water supply. But in the UK, you know, if the shit hit the fan and there are dead bodies, who knows what in the water supply, you may want to boil your water. So having little fuel blocks may be a good idea. You can put your water bottle on top of that, and just get that up to boiling. Leave it boiling for a minute or so, and then you should be good to go. Alright, other things. A knife, obviously a knife. So this is my cans bolt, which you'll see I'll use in the film. This saw, I don't know where I got this saw from. I've had this saw a long time. It's got a little latch on here. You can't buy these anymore, I don't think. I think it's a silky saw, the starter, the precursor, the one before a silky. It's no silky, as you'll see in the video. It just does not cut anywhere near as well. And then finally, I'm not going to pull this to pieces. Shall I pull this to pieces? Yeah, go on then. Rubber bands. This is my cook pot, which has a little cup in it, because I do have some coffees in with my food. And then there's a pot. I don't know what that is. I think it's a 900. 900 ml pot, but I use this pot because it fits this in perfectly. And in here I have what is a Tokes, and this is a Tokes gasifying wood burning stove, so it's particularly smoke free. It comes in 3 parts. I'm not going to connect it all, but there are 3 parts in there, and it turns into a wood burner. But like I say, it's got secondary burning so that it effectively burns the smoke. And then in there I've got some hot drinks, a little plastic spork thing, and some noodles, just in case I just grab the whole lot and I don't want to have to hunt through my bag to do that. So there we go. That's my cook set. So that's everything I think from there. Yeah. Next out is my sleep mat roll, again using some of those elastic bungees, which are brilliant, just for holding everything together effectively like a soft shackle. And in here, this roll is, on the outside layer is the bivy bag, inside that is the sleeping bag, which is quite a cheap £30 sleeping bag with a upper limit of 12 degrees centigrade, middle limit comfort of 8 degrees, and lower limit, I don't know, I never even go close to those. So it should get me down, so the sleeping bag should get me down to 8 degrees without problem, but of course I'll be wearing clothing plus I've got a bivvy bag on top of that, so I think this system will get me down to +5 degrees centigrade without too much hassle. And then also in there is a is it Thermarest? I think it's a Thermarest blow up pad, my yellow one, really old. It goes down a little bit towards the end of, in the early morning. It tends to have gone down a little bit, but it's not bad actually, so I'm going to stick with that. So I've got something to sleep on, which is the pad. I've got something to sleep in, which is the sleeping bag and the bivvy, and something to sleep under, which is the poncho. So that I can just unclip that and just roll the whole thing out, so I can sleep on the ground with this and then just put the poncho over the top, or I can go deeper down, as you see in the video. Here's my Swagman roll, which I've seen in another video, which is a nice bit of kit and it's extra. So if I've got a coat on, maybe I haven't got a thick coat, I've just got a thin jacket, I can get that on in the evening if it gets cold. Right, what else we got? Food. Okay, not going to spend long on the food, but as well as a couple of coffees, I've also got some Kendall mint cake, which for those in the States is sort of a minty, very high sugar bar, I would probably call it. You'd call it. Yeah, just a lot of energy. One of them is way out of date. Yeah, one of them is 1918, and the other one I've only just recently bought. So it's like 1918, 2018. But it will still be fine. You know, it's solid sugar. And then I've also got 3 meals. What I definitely didn't want is anything I had to add water to and hydrate. So I wanted just a wet meal that I can eat as hot or cold. If I want to get my spork out, I can. But equally I can just rip this off and then I can just push the food up to the top of it and then just eat it. Quick and simple. Food's not high on my list because my priority is just to get home. And then finally is the hammock, which you'll see me put up later. So it is literally my T&H Outdoors hammock, which is a double. I like the double because it wraps over and it helps keep a little bit of heat in and keep the wind off me. And there are also some straps in there. Straps are really simple. I don't particularly like these straps, this sort of strap, which is the daisy chain, just because they're not very adaptable. But for something like this, I don't really care. This is quite a short hammock, and in the video it only just fits under, or it doesn't really fit under the tarp, but you know what, it's close enough. And what I end up doing in the video is setting this up, and then I use those bungees and just connect the diagonals of the poncho onto the effectively onto the continuous loops on the hammock. So there's no ridge line in the end. I get rid of the ridge line idea. I think that's fine. That stops the rain getting on top of me, and it keeps that poncho as low into this hammock as possible in order to maximize the protection that I get. But a really heavy rainstorm, no, this probably wouldn't be any good. But I think in a woodland where you've got some top cover already, I think this is pretty good. Anyway.